The Grand Archives is a library, a storehouse of knowledge. Between the covers of every book lies the sum total of all of Lothric's understanding of the way their own world works. So too do the players come seeking knowledge, many of them looking for answers. And looking for patches. The backstab. I believe that the Crystal Sage is the scholar mentioned that has convinced Prince Lothric to not link the fire. I believe that the Crystal Sage has chosen this path because he understands that the only way backstabs will ever be patched is if Dark Souls and the world doesn't exist at all. A sort of meta commentary, the sort of story that Miyazaki tells so well. And like the Crystal Sage, many players also come here looking for patch notes that might explain to them why they are being backstabbed. The answers, of course, are not found here. As is the way of a Dark Souls game, we are only given more questions. Unless, of course, you are subscribed to Project Goof, or Platinum 7, or someone else who can give you answers onto how backstabs work. But many times, even these YouTube channels are beset upon by players who are still looking to express their anger at how this gameplay mechanic could exist over the course of 4 games. Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3. Many people look at Dark Souls 3 and they cry, fan service. But these people fail to realize that even something as fundamental as backstabs has existed across the course of all of these games. This, of course, is where we meet the player, Game King, as he searches for an answer to backstabs. But he dies before he is unable to find any. But perhaps the most saddening story is that of Muerten. Muerten, we find obsessively searching for the answer of how to fix backstabs. He dunks his head, his Havel-helmed head, into a pile of molten candle wax in an attempt to blind himself from the backstabs. He doesn't understand that this only makes it harder for him to see, and with his vision obfuscated, he's never quite sure of which side you're fighting him from, and oftentimes he will turn his back on you for literally long periods of time. Literally long. I think that Miyazaki included this encounter in Dark Souls 3 to sort of drive home the point that players had wanted backstabs patched, as if giving your back to your opponent, as if showing your back to your opponent wasn't cause for some sort of huge retaliatory damage. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But still, many players feel like they should be able to show you their back for seconds at a time and not have to deal with being backstabbed. In fact, one funny thing that I see people say a lot is they wish that wearing a shield on your back would reduce backstab damage. I won't mince words when I tell you I think this is a stupid idea, because just everyone would do it and it comes with no downside whatsoever. However, back to the story of Muerten, I can't help but think of how ironic it is that in a level so full of knowledge and learning, more to never bother to try and understand how backstabs work? No, he was just PV prepared to cry. Patches, the backstab.